Hello everyone. So in digestive physiology, this is second lecture and in which we'll see structure of stomach and gastric acid physiology. So let's first see structure of stomach. So this image is showing the parts of stomach. So this is esophagus, okay, joining the part of stomach, and so the part basically surrounding the lower esophageal sphincter is called cardia. This is a very small segment of stomach which is not having any function per se. So basically most book have different division of stomach. If you see different books, some will say three parts of stomach. The broad division is three part of stomach, okay, fundus, body, and maybe pylorus or antrum. Okay, so I want to make you clear the words, these five division of stomach, which most books say these are three divisions. Okay, so you should be just clear about the part of stomach. So the dome shaped part, the dome shaped area of stomach is fundus. Okay, the dilated part, the most dilated central part is body. Okay, the antrum, so the most distal part is antrum, and pylorus is nothing but the last part of antrum only, but having very thick muscle tissue, so that it can act as a sphincter to guard the food passage from stomach to duodenum or from duodenum to stomach. Basically that is called regurgitation. Okay, so antrum is nothing but basically it store chyme, so the liquid portion of stomach. Okay, antrum is responsible for basically assessment of the structure of chyme, whether it's liquid, whether it's solid. Okay, depending on that this sphincter acts. So if it's solid, then the sphincter will be in contracted form. It If it liquefy, then this will try to relax. Okay, so the antrum is basically having digested food which is mixed with gastric acid. Okay, this is main body part is having dense amount of all the cells which are the functional cells of stomach. Fundus is it basically have more mucus cells. Okay, so cardia is not having any specific function per se, but if you say broadly, now you should know fundus, body, and antrum. So pylorus is nothing but a sphincter. Okay, so these are parts of stomach. This is called lesser curvature, this is called greater curvature. Okay, if we see a segment and see under microscope, so this is a microscopic view of a small segment of stomach. Okay, in stomach there are different villi like structure. It's not villi, we can say rugi like structure. So there are different depression of wall of stomach in which different cells are arranged like this, shown in image. Okay, toward lumen there are mucus cells arranged so that they can secrete mucus outward, and they can form a layer of mucus which can protect these cells from HCl. Okay, so if you go below, there are different cells having different functions. So apart from mucus cells, there are parietal cells shown in green color which are very important. They secrete HCl. Okay, so if you talk about stomach, then gastric acid is the most important part we should know. So these are the parietal cells which secrete acid. Okay, there are other cells also which influence acid secretion by many ways, we'll be seeing in coming videos. There are enterochromaffin cells, there are chief cells which secrete pepsinogen. Apart from these, there are other cells also, D cells or G cell, they secrete gastrin. Okay, we'll see what is function of them, but you should know the division of stomach, and there are different cells in gastric pits. So these depressions are called gastric pits. Okay, so if we talk about gastric acid, okay, so there are different cells, but to know what they secrete, first of all let's see. So the basically gastric juice, which composed of secretion of all these cells. So this gastric juice is basically 1500 to 2000 ml being secreted per day, having pH of around 2. Although if we exclude all other secretion of glands except HCl, then pH will be around 0.8. But the scenario is different because normally it doesn't occur. All water and different discharge of all the cells are also present, which makes pH of 2. So chief cells are present which secrete pepsinogen. Gen is basically showing inactive form of anything. So pepsin is the natural form. So inactive form is pepsinogen. So which need to be converted into pepsin. Parietal cells are present which secrete HCl and intrinsic factor. Mucous cells are present which secrete mucus. If you talk about mucus, there are two type of mucus present in stomach. Okay, one is which makes as protective layer, which basically uh, with bicarb make a protective layer. Okay, and one is basically soluble mucus, which is just covering the epithelial cells. Okay, you need not to go deep into different molecules of mucus, but basically mucus bicarb barrier is the most important, which acts as barrier which prevent our cells from acid. Okay, there are G cells and D cell also. G cell secrete gastrin and D cell secrete somatostatin. We'll see these cells how basically they influence gastric acid secretion. But before that, let's just have a brief look on basically mechanism of gastric acid secretion. So this is a parietal cell, okay, which is going to secrete HCl. Okay, so this is the lumen part. So this is stomach lumen. Okay, here the blood vessels. So this is called apical surface, this is basal surface, right? So we know during metabolism, in every cell there is CO2 and water present. So CO2 combines with water to form carbonic acid, which in presence of carbonic anhydrase converted into H positive and bicarb ion. Now this H positive is thrown into the lumen by hydrogen potassium ATPase in exchange of one potassium ion. Hydrogen going into the lumen, potassium is taken back into the cell. Now this potassium via some leaky channel, it goes on both sides. Okay, the left bicarb ion in exchange of chloride, it is absorbed into blood and chloride into cells. Now this chloride again via leaky channels come into lumen, and this H positive and chloride basically makes HCl. So that's how gastric acid is formed. Okay, and to maintain the same passageway, there is sodium potassium ATP is present to just maintain the gradient so that these channels can work like this. Okay, so that's how gastric acid is being formed first of all. Okay, and these are the cells. These are composition of gastric juice. Now just knowing the composition of gastric juice, you should have an idea of function of gastric acid, which we can see. One thing is it mixes as the food enters into stomach, so it mixes that food. Saliva is also here, and then gastric acid, it mixes the food and it form a chyme which is going toward duodenum for further absorption. Now the capacity is around 3 liter of stomach, if we say, then it act as a reservoir also. So time to time with this, with small amount passageway, it is basically throwing the food into duodenum, not collectively simultaneously. Okay, so it's act as a reservoir also. So gastric juice, if we say, it contain HCl. HCl, obviously this is antimicrobial, right? If any microbe we are taking with food, then that will be killed in stomach only. Then protein digestion, it basically denature protein. It all tertiary form of protein we are eating in food, that will be converted into primary form, right? Smaller molecules. Then gastric acid also have pepsin. Then pepsin is inactive form. Pepsinogen is inactive form, which is converted into pepsin by HCl. So which help in protein digestion. Intrinsic factor we have which aid in B12 digestion, B12 absorption. Then we have gastric lipase, so lipid digestion component is also here, but it's not active in gastric acid. So at low pH it will not be active, it will activate in duodenum only. It have gastrin also. Gastrin, so gastrin is a hormone, you know. So G cell secrete gastrin, and which will be going to blood, and then from blood it comes to different target cells. So target cell for gastrin are parietal cells also, which basically increase. So this it can increase axial secretion, And gastrin also regulate motility of stomach. So how much contractions are needed, how much motility is needed. So gastrin also regulate that. So this is all about structure of stomach, gastric acid mechanism, and the function of gastric juice or gastric acid. Okay. Now we should know the phases of gastric acid secretion also. Just a little bit idea that there are three phases: cephalic phase, gastric phase, and intestinal phase. Cephalic phase is basically when we see some interesting food. Okay, when we smell or see some food. So why those senses, whether it's eye, whether it's nose, or we hear some food, something like that. So that will basically stimulate vagal motor nerve, which is going to stimulate the cells responsible for acid secretion. So that's how cephalic phase. Okay. Second phase is gastric phase. So 10% around acid secretion occur via cephalic phase. Gastric is around 60%, 40 to 60%. It can vary actually, but the main acid secretion via gastric phase, which is having nerve reflexes present, like when we eat food. So when food enters into stomach, then acid secretion occur because of the distension of stomach wall itself. So there are various nerve which are present here, which are basically which sense that the food has been entered into stomach, and that signal goes to again brain, and then vagal stimulation again, it distend the stomach and acid secretion is being increased. So that is gastric phase. So it's vagally mediated normally, but there are hormone also responsible for that. As I said, gastrin hormone is responsible for that. Okay. So that's how gastric phase occur. Intestinal phase, when the food enter into intestine, then how basically that regulate acid secretion is, because if food is entering into intestine, right, and that has not been converted into chyme, that is not in liquid form, if that is solid, then there should be more time for that food into stomach. And that's how basically, if that food, the solid food, enter into duodenum, then neurally, so vagally mediated, and via gastrin. Okay. So gastric emptying is delayed, so more time food will get for converted into chyme. Okay. So that is intestinal phase. So basically, it basically what it does is, it so sphincter contraction will be increased and gastric acid secretion will be more if the solid food enters into duodenum, because more time the food is needing to be converted into chyme. So acid secretion is increased, and it should not leak out to duodenum. That's how sphincter is contracted. Okay. So that is work of gastrin only. So these are phases of acid secretion, three phases. Okay. Now coming to different regulations, as I said, there are every type of regulation present in stomach. As we have seen that how basically vagus now regulate acid secretion, that is neural regulation. So here we will be talking about paracrine regulation and hormonal regulation. Although hormonal regulation we have discussed bit, but we'll see here also. So paracrine regulation, what is paracrine word? So paracrine interaction, as I have shown that how cell communication occur, the paracrines means how basically neighboring cells, they secrete some substances, those substances act on neighboring cells and either activate or deactivate some mechanisms. That is paracrine mode of communication, right? So here we'll be talking about how acid secretion is being influenced by other cells. Okay. So this image is showing a parietal cell. Okay. So this is a parietal cell, and this is gastric lumen having hydrogen potassium ATPase. Okay. Now this channel, this hydrogen potassium ATPase is basically influenced via many cells, many basically substances secreted by many cells. We will be seeing that. So parietal cell have different receptors present where those substances act and either stimulate or inhibit acid secretion. Let's just have a review. So first of all, we should know that EC cell, enterochromaffin cells, are very important cell to stimulate gastric acid secretion. So they basically secrete histamine. Okay. So they secrete histamine, and that histamine going to bind on histamine 2 receptors, and via cyclic AMP pathway it going to stimulate hydrogen potassium ATPase. So increase gastric acid secretion. First thing is enterochromaffin cell secrete histamine, which increase acid secretion. Okay. Now this enterochromaffin cells is stimulated by gastrin. Gastrin is basically the G cell present nearby these parietal cells secrete gastrin. So gastrin is a hormone, so it enters blood. From blood, it also stimulates histamine secretion, and directly also it act on CCK2 receptor, cholecystic kinin 2 receptor, and it bind to that and stimulate in basically it stimulate hydrogen potassium ATPase and increase acid secretion. So cholecystokinin, why gastrin is binding to cholecystokinin is nothing but because they are from same family. That's how the gastrin bind to CCK2. Okay. Now we have seen that how histamine is increasing. So histamine is increasing gastric acid secretion, and gastrin by increasing histamine and directly also basically increase gastric acid secretion. Apart from that, there is parasympathetic nerve, which is vagus nerve. It secrete acetylcholine. Acetylcholine bind on M3 receptor present, muscarinic receptor type 3 present on parietal cells, and again it stimulate acid secretion. Now what can inhibit that? These are all about what stimulate acid secretion, what enterochromaffin cell, G cell, and parasympathetic stimulation. Then there are D cell also, somatostatin D cell, which inhibit enterochromaffin cell, and it also inhibit parietal cell also, and basically it inhibits cyclic AMP formation. So ultimately it inhibit gastric acid secretion, it decreases gastric acid secretion. So somatostatin bind to somatostatin receptor and it decreases gastric acid secretion. Okay. So this paracrine regulation, these cells basically secrete some substances and act on nearby cells and influence gastric acid secretion. Apart from this, there is amine arachidonic acid also, which is taken in via food. So arachidonic acid via COX pathway, cyclooxygenase pathway, converted into prostaglandins. These prostaglandins are responsible for inhibiting gastric acid first of all, and these stimulate mucus cells, which are also nearby parietal cells. So these stimulate mucus cells and increase mucus and bicarb formation. Mucus bicarb barrier will be formed. Okay. And that bicarb basically dissolve HCl. Okay. So that's how it inhibit gastric acid. So HCl will be reduced if there are prostaglandins. So they act as protective for us. So paracrine regulation is clear, right? So D cell and prostaglandins, they are basically decreasing gastric acid. Enterochromaffin cell, G cell, and parasympathetic stimulation, they increases gastric acid secretion. Now how basically, so you must have heard about NSAIDs drug, brufen, diclofenac, these drugs. Eating these drugs will basically disrupt this COX pathway and prostaglandin will not be formed, and that's how mucus bicarb barrier will not be formed. That's why we have ulcers because of NSAIDs. Okay, so this pathway is basically disrupted if we eat brufen, diclofenac, these type of drugs which are called NSAIDs. NSAIDs which basically block this pathway. These are COX inhibitor, and that's how we have ulcers because of those drugs. Okay. And apart from that, we are taking proton pump inhibitor also. There are some drugs like pantoprazole, right? They are basically inhibit these receptors, H2 receptors, and that's how gastric acid secretion is inhibited in ulcer patients. So because if you know the mechanism, you'll be knowing how basically pharmacological treatment are projected to these receptors or these mechanisms. Okay. So this is all about stomach structure and gastric acid secretion. Okay, so please subscribe to my channel. We'll be discussing in next video about liver, bile, and pancreas, that is pancreatic juice, and what is function of them in digestion and absorption. Thank you so much for watching.